Welcome to Microsoft Office 2016 or Office 365, and we're looking at Excel Chapter 1, creating a worksheet and a chart. Almost every organization collects vast amounts of data. Often, data is consolidated into a summary so that people in the organization can better understand the meaning of the data. An Excel worksheet allows data to be summarized and charted easily. In this chapter, we're going to create a personal budget worksheet and chart. The worksheet contains budget data for Linda Fox. She has compiled a list of her expenses and sources of income and wants to use the information to create an easy-to-read worksheet to see how much she will be ahead or behind each month. In addition, she would like a 3D pie chart to show her estimated expenses by category for each of the 12 months. So we'll be creating this worksheet, but let's first describe the Excel window. So let's get familiar with some of the parts. Now I'm pointing here at what is referred to as the formula bar. This long bar here is the formula bar. Beside it is the insert function button, and if you click it, you'll find that there are functions that you can insert into this worksheet. Beside that is the enter button, and then there's the cancel button. Furthest left, this is referred to as the name box, and what you're looking at, lettered A, and guess what? The end of the worksheet actually ends with XFD, and to get there, Control and the right arrow key will take you there. So it's column A to column XFD, and there are 16,384 columns. And doing the reverse will take you back to the beginning, Control and the left arrow key. And what you see numbered are the rows, and it's 1. And guess where the bottom of this worksheet ends? Control and the down arrow key will let you know. 1,048,576. Now, if you did a calculation, you'll get 17,179,869,184 cells. And what's a cell? Every one of these intersections is a cell. Now, cells, you refer to them by their cell name or cell reference. And A1 is the cell reference referred to here because that's the active cell. And when we say active cell, it's one in which you can actually type into, meaning when I begin to type, it will accept the data. Now, how do you know that you have an active cell? So here I'm clicking at D2. Notice there is a heavy border around the cell. That's 1. The column letter and the row number are highlighted. That's 2. And check the name box. It will tell you the name. That's 3. Now each workbook, if you notice it says book 1, has a worksheet, sheet 1, but you have the option to add additional sheets with the new sheet button. So this is a sheet tab, and that's the new sheet button. Down below you'll find the other view buttons and the zoom buttons, or zoom bar as well. So we're going to begin typing some data into this worksheet. Now the title of the worksheet is Personal Budget Worksheet. Personal Budget Worksheet. Now, I haven't pressed enter as yet because I want to show the difference between pressing enter on your keyboard and clicking this enter that's beside the insert function box beside your formula bar. So if I click enter, which is this enter here, I'm pointing to now, let's see what happens. Now the data entry was kept, but it remained in cell A1. It did not move down to a different cell. So clicking enter, which is this enter, is going to keep the entry, but your contents, your active cell remains the current cell that you were typing in. Now what happens if I use the enter on my keyboard. So here's enter on the keyboard. And notice the difference. Once you press enter on the keyboard, it kept the entry yes, but it moved down to the next row or the next cell below. Now, notice also that when you typed, the cell did not necessarily contain all of the data, meaning A1, visually you are seeing personal budget worksheet and it's spilling over into column B and column C. The data is actually all in A1. How do we know this? Now, if I type something in B and C, it will appear as if the data in A1 has pretty much been cut off. It looks that way, yes, but check the formula bar. Notice A1, check the formula bar, the entire name is actually there. So what is the software really doing? If the adjacent cells are empty, it will visually display them for you. But you dare type something in those adjacent cells, it will seem as if it's cut off, but it's all there. Check your formula bar. So it means we make adjustments to cells to widen them, same thing with the rows and the columns, to widen them so that you can see the content on your spreadsheet. So let's go down to the subtitle, monthly expenses. Then below this, in cell A3, there's income. Then they have the months of the year. Now, ideally, you'd want to speed up this process because it's going to take you a while to type February, March, April, all the way down to December. Now, here's a shortcut. Now, look at the cell that has January in it and look at the bottom right corner and you'll see that there's a little square there. That is called a fill handle. I'm pointing to it and my mouse turns to a black plus sign. I'm going to drag the fill handle, meaning click and hold down your mouse button, and drag the fill handle all the way across until it stops at December. You would have automatically filled in the data. So it means Excel creates a series for you. Does it work for the days of the week? Yes, yes it does. Let's try Monday here. And it doesn't matter the direction. And it also deals with ordinals like first, second, and third. The software will continue your series for you using the same fill handle. And in my case, when I was doing my studies, I had to collect data and I simply labeled them respondent 1, 2, and 3. So you are actually able to do something like this. So technically you have to start the series so the software recognizes you want a series. And I would continue to use that fill handle and it will create the rest of the respondents for me. So that numbering that you see there, you can put anything there. You could say person 1 or team 1 and it will continue to number for you. So the software does create series using what's called a fill handle, and remember that fill handle is the little square that's sitting bottom right of an active cell. So let's continue to fill in the data. Here we have wages, then dividends, and then total. We skip a row, that's row number 7, and we continue expenses. And here also are the months of the year. So we'll do likewise and use the fill handle and fill in the rest of the data. Okay, I have an error here, let's fix that. And it continues, rent, food, tuition, books, entertainment, car payment, gas, miscellaneous, total. We skip a row, and in row 19 we put the word net. What's missing in column N are the words total in cell N3 and total in cell N8. So all we're missing now are the figures. Now you might be wondering, do I have to type all of these individually again? Here's the thing. These actually repeat. At least some of them do. So watch as I show you an easier way, at least, to enter your data, and especially when they repeat. So it means the wages, $1,417.12, is earned every month religiously. So there's no change. So I'm going to use that same fill handle and copy the number across to December. The same is not done for the dividends. The dividends are only received in January and July. So I'm copying and pasting the 4,029 and 71 cents, and that shortcut key Control and C, right? And I'm pasting it in the month of July. Everything else between here receives a 0, and I'm simply going to fill the zeros in. Okay, down to the rent, $410, and that doesn't change, so we'll be copying that. $280 for food, that doesn't change. Tuition, there's variations here. $1,500 in January, and when you jump down to May, there's $300 there, and when you jump down to August, there's $1,500 there. When it comes to books, there's $500 here. In May, there's $100, and in August, back to $500. So we're going to be filling in the gaps shortly. Entertainment is $100 all the way. Car payment, $215.47. That doesn't change. $100 for gas, and the same for miscellaneous. So for those that do not change, like the rent and the food, notice I'm selecting more than one cell now. I'm selecting B9 and B10, and it gives me a single fill handle, and I'll use it to fill in the repeating figures. And the same for entertainment, car payment, gas, and miscellaneous. The single fill handle will fill in the data for the rest of it. So between where we left out for the tuition and food, there's simply zeros there. And likewise, we're going to fill the gaps that have the zeros using the fill handle. So data entry does not have to be a pain. Okay, so we have figures. Now, before we proceed, this worksheet has a name. It's called Linda Fox Budget. So I'm going to save the file as Linda Fox Budget. Before we proceed. Now we want to calculate some totals on this spreadsheet. And had we done it manually, we would probably do something like this. And the equal sign is important to Excel because it tells the software that we're about to put a formula in. So had we done it the hard way, we would have done something like this. Equal, and the number in the wages cell is 1,417.12 plus 4,029.71. And we would get the right answer. But the problem is, if these figures change, we'll have to do over that entire formula from scratch. So let's do it a different way. So there's nothing wrong with that. But however, let's do it this way. If we said equal and instead call the cell references, which is B4, we type in B4, notice it color codes it, it highlights it, plus B5, and press enter, we'll get the same result. So that's a much better way to get the formula done. But there's an easier way to that. So we're going to delete that and use what's called the auto sum button. And here's the auto sum button on the home tab. It's furthest to the right. And when I click this button, it's going to assume for me which cells I want to sum. So it's picking up B4 and B5. So you notice the formula equals sum, open bracket, B4 colon B5, close bracket. When I hit enter, the software will generate for me the resulting figure. So is it that we have to do this over and over and over again? No. That same fill handle can be used to fill formulas as well. And the software will simply adjust the columns as it goes along. Now we still need totals in row 17 and in column N. But did you know you can have all these totals in one go? So I'm going to highlight N4 to N6. I'm holding down my control key. I'm going to select N9 to N16, and I'm going to go across and highlight B17 to N17. So all these spaces need a total, and I'll simply click the same auto sum button and it will automatically generate the figures for us. So the last formula to be entered is the net. Net represents how much money will be left after you take the expenses from the income. So our formula should read equal whatever the total of the expenses is, which is in cell B6, minus from it whatever the total of the expenses is, which is B17. And when we press enter, the resulting figure should appear on your worksheet, 2,241.36. I'm going to use that fill handle and copy that all the way across to column N. And I'm going to save the data that has been entered so far. So the worksheet has the information, but the following steps that are coming will make the worksheet look a little bit more presentable. So the text that we've entered, the numbers that we've entered, the functions and the formulas that we've entered, we want to be sure that the worksheet is formatted so that it makes it easier to read and understand. So we're going to start by formatting the title and the subtitle. So the title, A1. We're going to apply what's called a cell style. So on the home tab, there's a styles gallery. And here are the cell styles. And this one we're going to choose is called title. Then for A2, we're going to change the font to Calibri Light. And then we're going to apply a bold style to it. And we also want to bold A1, so we're going to bold A1 as well. Now A2 is a little too small, so we're going to increase the size from 11 to 14. The font color of A1 will change, and here's the font color. And we're changing the font color to Orange Accent 2. Similarly, the subtitle will have the same Orange Accent 2. Now we're going to do what is referred to as merging and centering. So the title, and we're highlighting, and notice your mouse pointer should look like an open white plus sign. And this allows you to highlight multiple cells. So we're highlighting A1 to N1. And here's the merge and center button found in the alignment group. And what does merging and centering do? Merging and centering is going to center the title across the columns that we've selected, that is for between A and N. And it will appear as if we have one long cell that spans from A to N. We'll do the same thing for the subtitle, A2 to N2. merge and center. Why can't we do both at the same time? It's going to give you an error because it's combining only per row across the columns. Let's continue formatting cells. A3 to N3 is going to have a cell style called heading 1. And the same thing is going to be done for A8 to N8, same heading 1. Down to the total row, A17 to N17, we're going to have a cell style called total. Now the titles in A8 to N8, as well as A3 to N3, I'm going to hold the control key, should be centered. So we're going to click the center button to center those. Now they want to make the worksheet a little bit more easy to read in terms of the layout and the numbers and so on. So we're going to be adjusting the numbers and we're going to be color coding some of the rows. When I say color code, meaning we're going to have alternating shades of a particular color. So let's begin with row number 4. So from A4 to N4. And we skip and go down to A9 to N9. So we're holding the control key, A9 to N9. Skip row number 10, go to row 11. Skip 12, go to 13. Skip 14 and go to 15. These particular rows are going to have a particular cell style. And the cell style is 20% accent 2, which is a light shade of orange. And it seems I've forgotten a row. A6 to N6 should have the total cell style. So we're going to fix that. Now the rows that we have left out, excluding the row with the net, so that's A5 to N5, I'm holding the control key, go down to row number 10, then row number 12, then row number 14, then row number 16. These are going to get a different cell style, and this one is 40% accent 2. And when we deselect it, you'll see the varying shades of orange as we go along. The last row with the net, is going to have a cell style of accent 2, which is a darker orange. So I'm going to save what has been entered so far. And then we're going to deal with the numbers in the worksheet. So you'll notice the figures are in need of alignment, and it will be helpful to have the comma that separates the thousands place and so on, and the decimal places are necessary as well. So we're going to apply a style, which is the accounting number format style. We're going to apply the accounting number format style. So what is this accounting number format? If you look up in the number group, there's a symbol of the $sign. That's the accounting number format button, and you'll see what it does. So where are we applying it? There goes. And we're going to be doing multiple rows at the same time. B4 to N4. I'm holding down my control key. We're going down to the total row, B6 to N6. We're going down to the first row of the expenses where rent is, which is B9 to N9. Down to the total row, B17 to N17, and also the row with the net, B19 to N19. All of these will get the same formatting. So we're going to click the same accounting number format button, and all of them will have the dollar symbol. It will adjust for the decimal place if it needs one, and they all align the same way. So what of the other figures? B5 to N5, and between, I'm holding the control key down, hold control, between B10 and N16, where we left off, those will get what's called the comma style. And you notice the style remove the zeros and put dashes instead, and it put on the extra 2 decimal places on the figure as well, but the only difference, and the 1,000 place separators, but there's no dollar symbol. Now we still have some issues. The issue is we cannot see entirely some of the words in column A, and the years, the months of the year are a bit cut off as well. So we're going to fix this. Now we're going to point between the boundary that separates column A and B, and you'll notice your mouse turns into a black double arrow. You're going to simply double click. And double clicking is going to allow the column width to adjust automatically to the longest item in the cell. So if you look at the longest items in that column, entertainment and miscellaneous, it will make adjustments to those. And the others should be done as well. So you can actually do more than one. So I'm going to select, and notice the black downward pointing arrow is going to allow me to highlight across the column. So click and drag from B to N and double click. It doesn't even matter where you double click, just double click. All of them will have the same automatic adjustment that took place at column 1 when you did it earlier. So now you can visually see all the items highlighted. Now we're going to add a pie chart. We're going to add a pie chart. Excel includes 15 chart types, which you can choose from, including column, line, pie, bar, area, XY or scatter, stock, surface, radar, tree map, sunburst, histogram, box and whisker, waterfall, and combo. Where do you find these things? If you go to the Insert tab and you look at the charts area or the charts group, you're going to see all the different charts. A description of each chart type can be found in the textbook. So check your ebook in Excel chapter 1 and you'll find the descriptions. Now we want to add a chart that depicts information from A9 to A16. So that's the labels, rent to miscellaneous, as well as N9 to N16. So I'm holding the control key. Hold on control, N9 to N16. So we're picking up the labels and the totals. So that's what our chart is going to represent. So because we're on the Insert tab, if you're not there, you're going to click on it. We're going to go to the pie chart symbol. So insert pie or donut chart. And we're going to select the 3D pie chart. So it has color-coded the chart to represent the information that we have selected. But we're going to make some adjustments here. Firstly, the title of the chart. I'm going to double click in the chart title. Suppose I'll have to highlight. And the chart title is Monthly Expenses. Okay. The style of the chart can be changed. And if you notice, because we're working on the chart, we now have access to the Chart Tools Design and Format tabs. So you can check out the varying styles. And the one recommended here is style number 5. But if you point to them, you'll see the differences. Some have the percentages visible, some do not. Right? So one has a black background, so there are different choices one can make. So they recommend style number 5. The chart, however, is blocking our data, and we're going to be moving it out of the way shortly. But let's first name the sheet that we currently have our data on, sheet number 1. So we're going to double click, and sheet number 1 is called monthly expenses. Now let's head back to the chart. There is an option on the Chart Tools Design tab that allows you to move the chart. So we're going to click on that option and choose where we want the chart to be placed. We want the chart to be placed on a new sheet, and here we'll give the sheet a name. And the name is Monthly Expenses Chart. And what should happen? It should generate a new sheet, and the whole chart should be on a sheet by itself. So here is the monthly expenses, which you chose to name earlier, which contains the actual data. And here's the monthly expenses chart. Did you know you can actually name the chart again? As in, there's a rename option. How? If you right click, you should have the option to rename, or if you double click, it should allow you to change the name. Did you know you can add a color to the sheet tabs? Yeah, let's try this one. Tab color, you can pick any color you want. Let's say I wanted orange here and green and the other one. So you can apply a color to the charts, the worksheet tabs. Now about the chart though, what you're looking at here is what is referred to as the legend, or some might call it a key. It's just the color code that represents the pie pieces. Let's do a little bit of experimentation on this chart. Now, did you know you can change a color on the chart itself? Meaning, maybe I don't like this gray here, just this piece. Because if you notice, if you click the pie, all of the pieces of the pie are selected. But if you click again and select the one piece, just that one piece is selected. How do you know? You'll notice the little handles only on that pie piece. You have the ability to change the color. You can fill it with anything you want. Maybe I want it to be purple. Here's another thing you should learn about charts. There are options beside the chart, like the style and the color. You can change up the color scheme if you wanted to, the whole color scheme of the entire chart. But I actually chose to change the color of just one wedge and other items. Maybe you only want to display certain things, or maybe the names are to change. So you do have options. Okay, now the chart, I'm going to click on the chart. You are able to explode it. And when we say explode, meaning you can allow the chart pieces to simply split apart all on their own, or you can even take out a piece. So let's try that one. I should be able to drag a portion and get a piece of the pie and, return it to its place. That's possible. I should be able to pull and explode the entire chart, meaning all the pieces are coming apart. Now, it might take a little while to figure out where to drag and how to drag it, but in terms of the single pie piece, if you notice, I'm going to click on a pie piece. and I can drag it away from the chart. Otherwise, we can conclude with the pie pieces all back together again, so you can explore the chart. So this is chapter 1 of Excel. Please refer to your textbook for more information.